Vinyl Collection Part 36. Finishing up the P's and going to start the R's within this part. Only other thing to bring up is what's going to be playing in the background, which is going to be Set Star Set with their full-length album, Visceral Tavern. This is a Japanese noise grindcore band that makes just ridiculous, obnoxious, and ignorant grindcore, which just makes it so fun to listen to. The lineup just consists of two people. One of them is a drummer that, if you watch any of their live shows on YouTube, the guy looks like a caveman, and he's always in his underwear for some reason, never wearing anything but just underwear on the drums. And the vocalist is a woman who does both vocals and holds this bass guitar, and I mean the bass guitar is like bigger than her, and she's just like screaming her head off. It's really funny to see the videos of them, but it's just obnoxious as it can possibly get within the style of grindcore that so many people that say they're into grindcore have no idea who these guys are, and that's quite a bit of a shame. Also, one thing I want to mention before we get into this vinyl collection part is if I seem a bit off, I have a really sore throat right now, and it's figures my one day off in the past 3 weeks, I am sick. Yay me, I'm so lucky. So if I seem like my voice is changing on and off, and it's not because of how shitty and low quality the camera is, it's because I have a really sore throat right now. But anyway, kicking this part off for number 36 is going to be the full-length album by Prosanctus Inferi with their full-length Red Streams of Flesh. As you can tell, this is the test press right here, and I'm not the biggest Prosanctus Inferi fan. However, this was up for sale on Nuclear War Now for $7. Why the fuck not? For something that cheap, it was definitely worth the price. The only thing that kind of sucks is it's just in this sleeve right here, because the jacket it came with is this Sabat album, which, you know, Nuclear War Now, for some reason, they always seem to be loaded and stocked to the fucking brim with Sabat merch, so I guess he just didn't have the actual original jacket for this test press, and yeah, it goes in there, so leave it to Nuclear War Now to do that. But if you're wondering, this is what the album artwork looks like for this album. But for the overall music and approach within Prosanctus Inferi, they're really just a straightforward blackened death metal band, I believe, from the States. I want to say they're from Ohio, so correct me on that if I'm wrong. And yeah, I don't know, I really don't care for this style of blackened death metal, but they always seem to make it work really well. Mainly because I feel like they have kind of like an idea of the approach they want to go for. It's not just, you know, riffs and chaos and yeah, that's it, that's our approach. While, you know, again, it's still a really fast-paced band, they just seem to have more of like a death metal, purebred type of feeling with their overall riffs, and I guess it just works for them. So it's just like a really dark, brooding assault of death metal, which really clicked with me. And yeah, they're a really solid band that if you're looking for just chaos of blackened death metal, definitely check out Prosanctus Inferi. As for the overall packaging, as you can clearly tell, there's not much. It's just a test press. They wrote some pentagrams and inverted crosses on it, and that's really it. Then I have their sophomore full-length album, again by Prosanctus Inferi, that being Noctambulous Jaws within Eternal Night. Quite the mouthful of an album title, as I'm struggling to say it with my sore throat. But I really feel like this is their peak of their approach with, again, blackened death metal, as the songwriting's a bit more expansive, which I know it's not really saying much, because when it comes, again, to blackened death metal, 99.9% of the bands just go for the chaotic blitz of an assault of like 240 BPM, and it's just screaming and riffs and whirlwinds of just chaos, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. But again, it's just, their approach just has a bit more of a death metal feeling to it without like trying to split it down the middle, and I guess that's what I really enjoy about their overall riffs. And it's as to why I was even interested enough to buy 2 of their albums. Never got around to getting the newest album that came out, I think either in 2020 or 2021, haven't got around to listening to it, but this right here I really feel like is their peak, because it just expands upon it enough without sacrificing the overall blitz and chaos that you would want with this approach of black death metal. Again, you can get this through Nuclear War now, just like everything else put out through Prosanctus Inferi. And that's about it for my description with them. As for the layout and packaging with this, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings. Comes on a gatefold, and this just comes on a standard black vinyl. Up next is the debut full-length album by Prosternatur. Totally forgot I had this album until I did this vinyl collection part, because I have not listened to this probably since I bought this like 5 years ago. Like, honestly, I totally forgot I had this. But if memory serves me right, it's a black metal band that is just really ritualistic and atmospheric. And I say that because I'm going off of a whim of some of the riffs I remember from this, along with the fact too that this was put out through Territar Possession. And if you're familiar with the bands signed to that label, a lot of the black metal bands on it are just very ritualistic and atmospheric, which is why it's a really solid label to check out. And yeah, other than that, I know it's kind of a bummer that I don't even know like some of my own records within my personal collection, but that's really all I can say for at the moment because I haven't listened to this in so long. But yeah, going off of the fact that it's on Territar Possession, it should be pretty solid for the most part. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, comes on a gatefold. This also includes an A2 poster, and the vinyl is housed in a printed inner sleeve, and the LP itself is just standard black. Proceeding on to Prurient. This is the 2006 full-length album, Pleasure Ground. Prurient is a noise project mainly composed by Dominic Furnow that what I've always admired about Dominic's approach with noise is that somehow he manages to make noise music that I would consider one of the most inaccessible styles of music on planet Earth sound accessible. And that's mainly because he also blends a lot of ambience with his approach. And some of it's like really intriguing and kind of, you know, ethereal in the most harshest of ways, I guess, which is something that's just really interesting about Pororient as a whole. And Pleasure Ground has always been my personal favorite Pororient release within his massive discography. Because the two tracks on here, that being Earthworks Buried in Secret and Apple Tree Victim, are so good. How just, you'll honestly feel like at some points this ambient noise almost comes off blissful in the most like just harshest and demented of ways possible. It's just, it's so interesting, and that's what I really like about it quite a bit. But yeah, this is in my personal view, Prurient is like the gateway project if you want to get familiar with what really accessible noise can be for the most part, believe it or not. But as to where you can get this release, I got it on Discogs years ago. I'm not sure if it's still available, but that would be the safest bet as to where this LP is still sold, because it's definitely not on Hospital Productions, which is the label ran by Dominic, because this was put out like 15 years ago, and Hospital Productions really doesn't carry stuff like this anymore. So my best bet is to go to Discogs if you want to get it. Now, as for the layout and packaging, it's really minimalistic. You have album artwork, backside with the track listing. Comes on a gatefold. It's double LP, and both are just on standard black vinyl. The only other record I have by Prurient is the fan favorite, that being Frozen Niagara Falls. I remember when this album was released in 2015, it had a lot of buzz and hype, as so many music reviewers that I was keeping up with at the time were giving it just high praise non-stop. And I would say the reason for that is because this is a noise album, yes, but it's like the most accessible noise album, I think, on planet Earth. And while, yeah, the foundation is noise and power electronics, there's a lot of other subgenres mixed in with it, like industrial, singer-songwriter, folk, a lot of synth work being utilized within it, that it becomes just so much more than just another noise album, and it just comes off really monumental and, I don't know, really, again, ethereal with his blend of ambience. Just Dominic really knew how to make some really captivating noise music, because he blends so many other styles together One example is the song on here, Dragonflies to Sew You Up. It is such a killer track that I would say if you ever wondered what like a 9 Inch Nails like hit single would sound like, but just super depraved, check out this song, Dragonflies to Sew You Up, because it really reminds me a lot of like just a super like demented 9 Inch Nails song. Other great tracks on here are Jester and Agony, Traditional Snowfall, which is a really killer track, and Every Relationship Earthrise. All killer stuff. That again, if you want to get your feet wet with noise music, if you want to have like an idea of what it can possibly do, mainly because it's just so accessible, strongly recommend checking out Prurient's Frozen Niagara Falls. It's 90 minutes long, but every minute of it is just so captivating and intriguing. Now, as for the layout and packaging, this was put out through Profound Lore. Not sure if the LPs are still available, because I got this the day of its release, and it's probably long gone sold out. So again, when it comes to noise musicians like this, or really just noise records in general, Discogs is kind of like the only place to really find merchandise of CDs and LPs and stuff of the sort. But for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork with a bit of spot gloss on it, backside with the track listings and Dominic's back. This comes on a gatefold, but it's a triple panel set because it's a triple LP. And the LP edition I got is on white, limited to 200 copies. Oh boy, now I finally get to talk about this band within the Vinyl Collection series, which is kind of ironic that I'm so hyped for it, because a minute ago I was talking about how much I don't enjoy black death metal, but I would say these guys are possibly my favorite within the style, because everything they release is just such a burner. And that would be the start of my collection to Pseudogod. This is their demo or either EP, Illusion of Salvation. What makes them just so good is that everything sounds like it was recorded under hellfire and brimstone. Like literally this sounds like a black death metal band that just came out of hell itself to release music. It is just so good and so fun that I guess the best way of a comparison to say is that think of Beharit, but just, again, just way more pulverizing, way more... I know I just compared it to like they just got out of hell itself under hellfire and brimstone, but just hotter. Just everything about it is just so face melting. It's just like what I would expect blackened death metal, black death metal, war metal, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Pseudogod is like what I picture the genre to sound like all the time. And damn, it's just so ass-kicking. You can't go wrong with them. And I wish this band would release more material, because I think the last time they released something was like coming up on like 10 years ago. So it's like, come on guys, we need new material by you guys already. And one thing I'm really bummed out about is they toured around the States once, I think in 2015, but it was a 21 plus show and I wasn't old enough at the time, and I was so willing to go out to New York to see them live. And I think the year before I started going to the Maryland Death Fest, they did an appearance at the Maryland Death Fest, so it's like I've always missed out on seeing them, and ever since then they haven't done anything. It just sucks. So it's like, please guys, release something already, because I'm in dire need of some killer black death metal. But for my recommendation, which may not say much because I seem to just really, talk down on the subgenre for the most part, if there is one black death metal band I will talk highly of that I strongly recommend, it's fucking Pseudogod, hands down. Now anyway, after that splurge of all the positivity, even though this is the first of like 5 other records I'm going to talk about with them, this was put out originally through Satanic Skinhead Propaganda. It's a first press. More than likely Nuclear War Now has done all the represses, so my best bet is to go to, again, Nuclear War Now, like for most black death metal bands, if you want to get any merchandise, buy them. Or Hell's Headbangers, I think, might carry some copies. But yeah, as for the layout and packaging with this, you have album artwork, which, by the way, I love this logo. Like, that is just so ferocious and intimidating looking, and I absolutely love it. Probably my favorite extreme metal band logo, because it's illegible, yes, but it's also just really, again, just like ugh looking, and I've always loved it. backside with all the track listings. Comes on an A2 poster of the band with actual human bones, which is pretty cool. As well too, comes on a printed inner sleeve, same deal, just like the poster I showed of the band holding bones. Backside with all the credits, and just comes on a standard black vinyl. Then I have the two-way split between Morbosidad and Pseudogod. Do I really even need to say the reason why I bought this record? Solely for the Pseudogod side. Now my friend Michael, for the longest time, always used to recommend me Morbosidad. And dude, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but everything that I complain about with blackened death metal, Morbosidad has all the characteristics that I'm not that crazy for. It's not terrible, but it's nothing that, you know, I'm gonna go out of my way and listen to on the regular. The Pseudogod side is where it's at, not like, you know, it's saying much coming from me as I just splurged over them 2 minutes ago. But I got this at Armageddon a while back, and that's really it, because it's just a split. Both bands contain just one song each, and again, it's more of a collection piece, because when it comes to splits, they're really just novelties to me that really, if I'm just trying to be a completionist with a band, I'll buy it, and that's really all that I can say about this for the most part. Again, put out through Nuclear War now, so if you want to get this, more than likely you can find copies there. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the band logos and track listing. Comes with an insert sheet with credits for both bands, and the LP edition is just standard black. Then I have another release by Pseudogod, that being Triumphas Serpentis Magni. Yeah, again, found this at Armageddon, and I was stunned over the fact that this is a first press, basically in mint condition, for under 20 bucks. I mean, fuck yeah, I'm gonna buy that immediately. Right after that, I just went right up to the checkout and left, because that's really the only record I needed at the time when I was there. Again, back when I used to go to Armageddon on the regular, but now I don't, because it's like a 2-hour drive away from me now. But yeah, everything that I admire about Pseudogod, everything that I enjoy about their approach of just like that hellfire style of just blasphemous riffs and aggression, you'll find it here like everything else that they've released. That again, I know I stated it, if you're a fan of Beherit, you'll definitely enjoy these guys for the most part. This does have a repress. I'm not sure, again, if it's Nuclear War Now or Hell's Headbangers that did the repress. But again, go to labels like that if you want to get any merchandise by Pseudogod. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings. Comes with an insert sheet with lyrics on one side, band photo on the other with credits. Then I have their one sole full-length album, which is obviously Deathroom, Catathesis. Oh my god, for the longest time I have been waiting for them to do a follow-up to this. But for the time being, I've been spinning this record every chance that I get when I'm in the mood for black metal and death metal. This is, like, in my view, one of the peaks within the genre, because it is just so ungodly face-melting. Everything that I just said about them, this is truly where they peaked with that approach of sounding like it was recorded under hellfire and brimstone. Just, this album is so good. This album is so fucking good. And I never thought I'd get it, but how I acquired this LP right here was, probably back in either 2015 or so. I did a trade with Sean Count Blagger. God, that was so long ago. And I was like, dude, would you be willing to give up Deathroom Catathesis for a trade? And he was up for it, and I was like, oh my god, I'm actually going to own this record. And it's in great condition, obviously, because I know Sean takes very good care of his records, just like I do myself. And seriously, guys, if you want the peak of Black Death, in my opinion, Deathroom Catathesis. As well, too, I know I always bring it up, but I love this artwork, which is just ironic because it's done by Antichrist Kramer. I can't stand his music like Death Key and Totalitarian, but when it comes to his overall visual artwork, the guy can fucking draw, and god damn, he hit it out of the park with this album artwork right here. And yeah, it's definitely a record for me that is meant to be listened to when you're like lifting weights or exercising. It's one of those records that just puts you on fucking beast mode to like level 11 and then some. So good, so good. But yeah, put out through Hell's Headbangers, long gone, sold out. I know CDs are still available, and again, they've just been kind of like dead silent ever since this record. I know they have one other release which I'll be showing in a bit, which is just a compilation, but they haven't done, I think, really anything new, which is just a big fucking bummer, because if they could do anything just half as good as this, I'd be all over it like white on rice. So one can hope, I guess. But yeah, again, I know I'm repeating myself, the peak of Black Death, Pseudogod, Deathroom, catathesis. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings. Comes with a booklet. Love that, how the dragon, serpent, demon is just like on both sides of it. Lyrics and artwork to go along with everything. And this band photo is just ridiculous. Look, I mean, that motherfucker right there. That dude just looks fucking wild, and I love it. As for the LP variant, it comes on Oxblood, limited to 300 copies. And the last thing I have that is Pseudogod related is this compilation right here, again put out through Nuclear War Now. It contains all just demos and unreleased material, as well to two covers, one of a Beherit song and the other of an Antaeus track, that both are really solid. I mean, again, everything that I enjoy about Pseudogod, I just get more of it with this release, and it's just all their demo work. It's a bit rough around the edges, as you would expect from something of like demos from a black death metal band, but again, it's still very pulverizing, very aggressive. All the adjectives you would come to expect with a black death band is in this, and that's really all I can say about it for the most part. But yeah, really cool collection piece if you're just obsessed with Pseudogod, like I am, trying to get any of their material and just patiently waiting for something new to be put out by them. But again, you can get this through Nuclear War Now, because I'm pretty sure it's not even like limited or anything. It's like they're always going to keep it in print, which is always nice about Nuclear War Now, is that they always keep their stock readily available at all time. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, comes on a gatefold, as well too contains a band collage photo on one side with this inner sheet, and just thank you notes, credits on the other side. Up next is quite the oddball for a grindcore release, and that would be Sudoku with their album Planetarisk Sudoku. So I'm going to sound very arrogant and snobbish here, but just hear me out first, even though it's not going to change the fact that I'm still very arrogant saying this. When it comes to the whole premise of grindcore, metal fans really don't know dick shit about it, to be honest, because all the videos I've seen on YouTube discussing grindcore, and you know, the list videos of like what they know, it's like, how is it always kind of like the same 15 bands that are always talked about, and their overall description of it is it's just really fast, sporadic music, which it is for the most part, and all songs are just, you know, 30 seconds long, albums are only a couple minutes long, and you know, it's just Napalm Death, Early Carcass, Pig Destroyer, Terrorizer, and Anal Cunt, because haha, band's so funny and ridiculous. Seth Fruitman is like such a weirdo. Like, you know, yeah, I'm glad you found like, you know, the surface level of it, but like no one really seems to just dive like a little bit deeper within the realms of grindcore. Like there is just such wild stuff that people have done within it, and like that's just as far as people kind of go. And when you dive just a smidge deeper, grindcore becomes really wild to the point that it's not just fast, you know, sporadic music. And one example of that is the Sudoku album right here, because it's grindcore mixed with free jazz, which is something I thought was just not capable of being done at the time. Because the best way to describe it is, it's like, think of John Zorn's Naked City, but he collaborated with Discordant's Axis. That's what this sounds like, and it's just ridiculous and mind-blowing. That the first time I heard it, I honestly laughed, because I'm like, how is this being done? These sounds and just textures and riffs, or it's just like, how? Like, this is grindcore? What? Like, I was just laughing, but having so much fun listening to this record. And, I mean, it's really easy to get, because there are copies on Discogs for like $10. It's totally worth getting. And if you really want to get like a brain fuck of what grindcore can do, strongly recommend you check out Sudoku, because it's really crazy. And it's really obvious that the guy behind this project, I know it's he's from Norway and he has a lot of other grindcore bands, but Sudoku specifically, he obviously takes a lot of influence from John Zorn, especially the other band that he was a part of, Painkiller. Definitely check out that band too, and I wish I could get some LPs from that project. But yeah, if you ever wondered what like free jazz and grindcore would sound like, definitely check out Sudoku, and Planetaris Sudoku is my personal favorite within the discography so far. Now, as for the layout and packaging, it's really bare bones. You just have album artwork, backside with more artwork and the track listings on top, and just comes on a standard black vinyl. Finally, now I get to talk about this project within this vinyl collection series that really I have been just obsessing over ever since I got the LP in the mail about a month and a half ago, and just I haven't stopped listening to it. That I would say, out of everything within this vinyl collection part, strongly recommend you guys check out this project regardless of its subgenre. And that would be the debut and so far sole full-length album by Raja Kirik, that being Rampelkan. This right here is a two-piece Indonesian electronic project that never before have I heard something just so spiritual and trippy, yet crushing at the same time. Because it blends, obviously, electronics, power electronics, noise, and kind of like this, I don't know, like spiritual, shamanic, like flute playing by one of the other members. Like, one guy's doing all like the percussions and noises, the other guy's just like playing this flute, and it's just so trippy and just, again, crushing. That honestly, and I know this is a hot take on my part, but the material within this record is honestly more head-splitting than a lot of the death metal and metal bands that a lot of people hype up in reviews that I've seen so far, honestly. And it's an electronic project from Indonesia, out of all places. This was recently put on vinyl by Niagara Tapes and Yes No Wave. And I've come to realize that these two labels, they really put out just like wild and crazy electronic music that, again, is both spiritual yet crushing. I know Niagara Tapes is a Ugandan-based label that, again, think of like electronic music, kind of similar to that of like Death Grips, but just even crazier, alright? And then Yes No Wave Music is a label put out that's in Indonesia again, and it's just, again, really wild and crazy electronic music, and I'm really digging a lot of the releases put out through these two labels. I've been keeping up with them ever since, because if it's anything more like this right here, I'll be all over it. But yeah, you can still get this through, I believe, the Bandcamp of Niagara Tapes, and really loving everything that I'm hearing. One of the songs, that being Door, D-O-R, it has a music video, and this shit is just, it's so crazy. I'll leave a link provided to that specific song, and if that doesn't sell you on this record, I don't know what will. But shit, you guys definitely need to check this out, because it'll definitely transcend your understanding of what you could do with electronic music, because this shit is wild from start to finish. As well, too, the genres that it's labeled under, because I'm still quite a newbie to music like this, It has also labeled as like Afrobeat, which I have no idea what that is, but if anyone can tell me like exactly what that's supposed to be, I'm all ears for it, because apparently there's a genre out there called Afrobeat. But yeah, other than that, for the layout and packaging, you have this album artwork right here, which I think is absolutely glorious. I love stuff like this. Backside with the track listings. The LP variant comes on white, double LP as well too. It's limited again to 500 copies. Finishing up within this vinyl collection part, next up is the demo by Rebirth of Nefast titled Only Death. Just really good, straightforward, atmospheric black metal that's a bit raw for the most part, but again, it's atmospheric, so it kind of like consumes you with its overall approach. And that's about it, really, because I've spun this only a few times. Bought it mainly because it was like dirt cheap on Discogs, and it's impressive enough to just get, and that's about it. The follow-up full-length album, honestly, for the most part, wasn't impressed by, because like now he's trying to sound again like another Despel Omega clone, because he's all going for the dissonant approach. Really didn't like it. For me, the only thing so far that Rebirth of Nefast has done, I know he also has done a split too, but really the only thing to really check out by him if you're a fan of black metal is Only Death, and that's really it, because again the full length really didn't impress me all that much. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, spot gloss to shit, backside with the album title and band logo, and just comes on a standard black vinyl. Ah, god fucking damn it. So the last two records within this vinyl collection part, both splits, but bought it solely for one band and were in the R's. So obviously I'm starting and will be finishing in the next part my Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes collection. This is the split they did with XE, Xenophobic Ejaculation. And I missed out on the first press, and this is the recent repress put out through Go to Warx. And what to say about this release? Obviously, I bought it for the Reek side because I'm just a collector scum for them. It's a blend of industrial blackened grindcore that I've always looked at Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes as like they're the black metal version of the Berserker, or just like the raw black metal version of Anon the Throck, and those are two bands I've always enjoyed. So their approach just really clicks with me. However, when I see people down talking Reek for their overall approach, I get it, because the percussions on Reek of the Unzen Gas Fume records are insanely obnoxious, and I get it as to why you may not like it, but I've always been just such a sucker for blending black metal and grindcore together that I've always been a fan of them ever since I discovered them. But yeah, other than that, there's really not much else to say about it, because the XE side is a power electronics project that just by its name, I'm pretty sure you can kind of guess what it's all about. Now, as for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork with an Obi strip, as Go to Warx always loves to do. Backside with just the picture of both projects. Comes with an insert sheet, the Reek of the Unzen Gas Fume side and the Xenophobic Ejaculation side. And this repress is a picture disc right here, which it sounds decent, so I'm not complaining too much. But yeah, really love the artwork for the Reek of the Unzen Gas Fume side. And the last record right here is probably one of the more controversial records that I own, and I have to talk about this band on this fucking channel. But it's the four-way split between Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes, Command, Fogged by Flesh Flies, and the one and only Der Hooper, which I always call them, but it's Der Strummer. And yes, I'm aware I'm saying the band name still very wrong, but here's how I look at it. If this band cannot put the effort to make good music, I'm not going to put the effort in to say their band's name right. Simple as that. And besides the album artwork, which looks really badass and cool, of the Zodiac Killer, everything else about this is just really bad. Like, it's just not good. Like, I solely bought this for the collection purpose to finish up Reek of the Unzen gas fumes even more. But damn, every band just doesn't bring anything good. Followed by Flesh Flies is just like drony, dark ambient noise that goes on for like, I think, over 15 minutes. Command is just a really monotone, hateful black metal band from Brazil that, I mean, the overall pacing is just a bit punkish, I guess, but again, it's just, there's really nothing to say about Command. The Reek of the Unzen gas fumes material, it's like they just went full-on blitz with their approach. Like, it's like 260 BPM, the dude's screaming his head off, that you can't coherently hear or make out anything other than just noise, is really what it is. Like, yeah, obviously there's drums and guitar and vocals and whatnot, but like everything's just played just maxed out with speed. You can't really hear anything. That it just comes off like wannabe revenge riffs, so just pretty disappointed with the Reek material. And then Strummer's stuff is 3 tracks, and each song has a fucking intro and outro that takes up like half the song. So I'm just hearing like some movie intro for like some war movie all about victory, and it's like, I just find it so weird that Strummer will do this. Like, they'll always have like an audio sample of like something to do with war and victory, and it's like, motherfucker, you lost. You named your fucking band after the newspaper called The Striker from World War II. It's like, shouldn't you have like a different kind of like thought process with how you write your music? Like, yeah, I get you're an NS band, but like, what the fuck? I don't understand your obsession with victory. But anyway, yeah, other than that, it's just really a collection piece because there's really nothing I can say about it musically that I enjoy all that much. Other than the layout and packaging, as I stated, the album artwork is really cool. Backside is just all the bands and track listings. It also does include an insert sheet and on a plain black vinyl, as I almost drop it. And the insert sheet is just lyrics and credits of each band, and the backside is the same deal. Well, rip me for this video now. It's not going to get monetized, and I can definitely tell that some people are now going to assume that I'm a bad person now for buying this record, because as you guys know, music taste and what you spend your money on, especially with records, that's a personality trait now. That's how I grew up with it. But anyway, yeah, other than that, like always, I'll have links provided to all the music I showed within this video in the description below, and that is that. So like always, guys, make sure you guys drink plenty of water to stay hydrated, and have a great day.